Battle of Austerlitz. The mist did not move. It clung to the earth like a living thing, thick, cold, and suffocating. On the frozen fields near Austerlitz, soldiers stood in silence, their breath visible in the bitter December air. It was December 2, 1805, a date that would soon echo through history. But at that moment, no one knew how the day would end. They only knew one thing: something massive was about to happen. 3 emperors had gathered for this moment. On one side stood Napoleon Bonaparte, a man who had risen from near obscurity to become the most feared commander in Europe. Facing him were 2 powerful rulers, Tsar Alexander I of Russia and Emperor Francis II of Austria. Together they commanded a massive coalition army, larger in number, stronger in appearance, and filled with confidence. To them, this battle was already decided. But Napoleon saw something they didn't: opportunity. In the days leading up to the battle, Napoleon did something strange, something that confused even his own generals. He deliberately weakened his right flank, pulling troops away and leaving it dangerously exposed. From a distance, it looked like a mistake, a sign of fear, even desperation. Rumors spread quickly through the Allied camp. Napoleon was retreating. Napoleon was afraid. Napoleon was making errors. That belief became their greatest weakness, because it wasn't a mistake, it was a trap. Napoleon understood something crucial about his enemies. The Allied commanders, especially the young Tsar Alexander, were eager for a decisive victory. They wanted glory. They wanted to crush Napoleon in a single, overwhelming blow. And so, when they saw the apparent weakness on his right flank, they took the bait without hesitation. The plan was simple: attack the weak side, overwhelm it, cut off Napoleon's retreat, end the war. On the night before the battle, Allied officers gathered to finalize their strategy. Maps were spread across tables, candles flickered, and confidence filled the room. They believed Napoleon had made a fatal error. They believed they were about to destroy him. Meanwhile, in the French camp, Napoleon remained calm. He had already seen this moment before it even happened. As dawn approached on December 2, the battlefield was still hidden beneath a heavy blanket of fog. Visibility was low, sounds were muffled, movements were uncertain. But then, slowly, the fog began to lift, and with it came sunlight. Golden rays broke through the clouds, illuminating the battlefield in a surreal glow. To the French soldiers, it felt like a blessing, a sign. This moment would later be remembered as the Sun of Austerlitz. Napoleon looked up at the rising sun and knew the time had come. The Allied army began to move. Thousands of soldiers marched toward Napoleon's right flank, exactly as expected. Their formations stretched across the land like a massive wave, ready to crash and overwhelm everything in its path. Drums echoed, commands rang out, confidence surged through their ranks. But as they advanced, something unexpected happened. Their center began to weaken. At the heart of the battlefield stood a crucial position: the Pratzen Heights. It was the highest ground in the area, offering a commanding view of everything below. Controlling it meant controlling the battle. But the Allies had abandoned it. They believed the real fight would happen on the flanks, but they were wrong. Napoleon had been waiting for this exact moment. As the Allied forces committed themselves to the attack on his right flank, he turned to his generals and gave a single decisive order: attack the center. French troops surged forward through the thinning fog, advancing toward the Pratzen Heights with precision and speed. Hidden just moments before, now they appeared like ghosts emerging from the mist. The Allied forces, caught off guard, scrambled to respond, but it was already late. The heights were vulnerable, and Napoleon knew it. The fighting was intense. French soldiers climbed the slopes under heavy resistance, muskets firing, bayonets clashing, cannons roaring. Smoke filled the air, cries echoed across the battlefield, but the momentum was unstoppable. Step by step, meter by meter, the French advanced, until finally they reached the top. From the Pratzen Heights, Napoleon's army could now see the entire battlefield. More importantly, they could split the Allied forces in half, cutting communication, isolating units, and creating chaos. The trap had closed. Panic began to spread among the Allied ranks. Orders became confused. Units became separated. Coordination collapsed. What had started as a confident offensive turned into a desperate struggle for survival. And Napoleon controlled it all. To the south of the battlefield, another tragedy unfolded. As Allied troops attempted to retreat, many fled toward a series of frozen lakes. In their desperation, they rushed onto the ice, hoping to escape the advancing French forces. Napoleon saw them, and he made a ruthless decision. French artillery opened fire. Cannonballs struck the frozen surface, sending cracks racing across the ice. Within moments, the solid ground beneath the soldiers' feet turned into a deadly trap. Ice shattered, water surged upward. Men screamed as they fell through. The freezing lake consumed them. It was a scene of horror, and it marked the complete collapse of the Allied army. By the afternoon, the battle was effectively over. What had begun as a carefully planned offensive had turned into one of the most devastating defeats in European history. The Allies suffered approximately 36,000 casualties, killed, wounded, or captured. Napoleon's losses, though significant, were far smaller. The difference was staggering. The message was clear. After the battle, Emperor Francis II sought peace. The Treaty of Pressburg was signed on December 26, 1805, forcing Austria to make major concessions. Territories were lost, power was weakened, influence faded, and soon after, the Holy Roman Empire, an institution that had existed for nearly 1,000 years, was dissolved in 1806. The impact of the Battle of Austerlitz went far beyond the battlefield. It reshaped Europe, it redefined warfare, and it cemented Napoleon's reputation as one of the greatest military minds in history. But what makes this victory truly extraordinary is not just how Napoleon fought the battle, it's how he controlled it before it even began. He studied his enemies, he understood their ambitions, he predicted their decisions, and then he built an entire battlefield around those predictions. The weakness they saw was never real. The opportunity they chased was carefully designed. The victory they believed in was an illusion. Napoleon didn't just defeat an army, he defeated their thinking. And that is why even today, Austerlitz is studied as a masterpiece of strategy, a perfect example of how intelligence, deception, and timing can overcome even the greatest numerical disadvantage. As the sun set on that cold December day, the battlefield grew quiet once again. Smoke drifted through the air. Snow covered the fallen. The echoes of battle slowly faded into silence. But history had already been written. 3 emperors had come to fight. Only one would be remembered as victorious. And as the last light of the sun of Austerlitz disappeared beyond the horizon, Napoleon Bonaparte stood alone at the top of the heights, not just as a conqueror, but as a legend.